This is Feed Your Mind, and so this is the final part of the three-part series about the Picard observations that was made in the stratosphere. And so the stratosphere, like I said in previous videos, is about 10 to 30 miles high. And so Picard made some interesting observations that I would like to share with you in this final installment of the series. So basically, one thing I would like to bring up is that Picard confirmed there was intense radiation 10 miles up in the air. So that's not too far above where planes go. And I've verified this information in other places where people are saying when you go up that high, there's definitely increased radiation. So you're exposed to higher radiation levels up there. And so that's important because if the ISS is said to be, 200 to 400 miles up in the air, then that radiation must be super intense. So therefore, I had made previous declarations that I didn't believe too many people when they said they had gone above 70 miles, basically around the Kármán line. So 60 to 70 miles. I kind of kept that as pretty much could be where the highest point is. And the interesting thing about this radiation observation is that, it doesn't seem like anybody could really be up there that long. So that's why when you see Jeff Bezos and Virgin Galactic go up there, it's just a drop. They go up, they're claiming they're getting up to about 60, 65 miles, and then they drop and free fall, and that makes it look like they're floating. And all the indoctrination, everybody sees floating as if when you get to a certain height in space, they try to act like you just start floating. Like all of a sudden you're just floating around. And no, that's just the effect of falling. It's artificial gravity. It's basically it's zero G. It's just a illusion that people are floating. Even the official ISS people will say that they're not actually just floating. It's actually a free fall. They're in around orbit. So even they'll admit that they're not actually just floating around just because they're high in the sky, which is what a lot of cartoons and movies try to make it look like you just start floating just because you're in space. And so with this radiation thing, it shows us that it doesn't look like anybody can sustain themselves up in the air that long. So that's why Jeff Bezos and them drop down immediately. They just go up and then drop, and that causes the floating. It makes it look like they're floating, but it shows that they can't be up there that long, because if you are, it looks like you're going to be exposed to some serious radiation issues at that height. So if 10 miles high is exposing them to radiation, then 70 miles high would really, really be a problem. So it looks like Earth is not designed for mankind to be up in the air that high. And another thing that this confirms is that the heliocentrism model is too perfect for it to be an accident. So basically, if Earth was just 10 miles closer to the sun, according to the heliocentric model, then life wouldn't really be inhabitable on Earth. So for Earth to just be at the perfect distance from the sun to where we're not experiencing this intense radiation that Picard had discovered 10 miles up, then that tells us that even the heliocentric model is too perfect to be an accident. So scientists should start really considering dismissing their whole heliocentric model, or at least start admitting that it's too perfect to be an accident. if just 10 miles makes that much of a difference to where radiation is too intense to bear for long periods of time, I mean, that's just it just shows us that either way, this place is a intelligently designed place. And so the other thing I wanted to bring up about Picard's journey to the stratosphere is that, well, if you look in the sky, you'll notice blue air. Like you'll see above in the sky, it's blue. So then you'll see some weather balloon footage and you'll see like a blue layer where it's just kind of like, it seems like there's just a haze of blue up there where once you pass it, it kind of turns black. So this doesn't disqualify the waters above theory, because the waters above could be up there, which we discussed that in my last video. That we'll get into some more discussions about the waters above later in other videos. But is it almost, well, according to these observations, people are trying to say, well, it appears that the blue that we see in the sky is possibly literally a blue haze. Like that's what Picard had identified, because he said he captured literal blue air up there, where it was like seriously, like the way he almost described it is as if you could put it in a bottle and the air would be visibly blue. And so that's kind of interesting, because that's kind of like how it's almost like it's part of what we are intended to see from Earth, is a blue sky. And it's almost like paint or something, like the creator made the sky blue, and that's the color, and it's literally blue up there. Because here on Earth, air is clear. Like down here on the surface level, it's like super clear. You can see pretty far down here. I mean, you can't see for forever. I mean, there's limits to what you can see, because the haze will start to kick in, the atmosphere will start to thicken as you start to look further and further. And that's why you can't see, from America to China or across the Pacific or Atlantic. You can't see across the oceans because, yeah, the air is too thick. It's like in water, you can't see forever either. It's like the same thing here on Earth, but in your immediate radius, it's pretty clear. Like you wouldn't notice that any type of thickness in your immediate, like three miles of visibility. So it's interesting that they're saying above in the stratosphere that they reached a place where the air was literally blue, and they're calling it like ozone. I think ozone is also called O3. And so down here, it's on the surface level, it's it's O2, like the oxygen level, and then up there is like O3, I guess they're saying. So something like that. Anyways, so I found that interesting, that they said they saw blue gas, a literal blue gas. So previous observations, some people were saying the sky was blue because of the waters above. And I don't know, what are you guys thinking? Is it the sky blue because of the waters above, or is it the blue haze that is intended to be blue? And like I said, that wouldn't dismiss the waters above hypothesis, but as far as what we see as far as a blue sky, that would kind of disqualify the sky being blue because of waters above. The waters above would have to be a deeper analyst that we could take on in another video, depending on where everybody's at with this so far. So another observation Picard had made was, well, he identified what he called the radial roof. And so I know there's ionosphere area where they're saying they can bounce signals off. So I don't know what he's trying to say. Like there's this radio roof area, whatever that is. But I mean, I was speculating they're bouncing signals off of the dome, which would be what, according to my research, about 70 to 80 miles up, possibly. So it's either that or are they bouncing it off of this supposed radio roof in the ionosphere? So that's an interesting observation Picard made. And so how Picard described it was basically, he said he was basically traveling up, and then they went through a copper colored haze area, and then that turned to a bluish haze area, and then as they went further up, they got to a deep dark blue haze. So they said it sounds like they had gotten samples from each level, and so they could study the different layers of air. So it'd be like literal different layers of air that they passed through. And so when it comes to air, in a future video, we're gonna discuss air. I've made some observations and was questioning if air was intelligent. I mean, I have my reasons for saying that. I'll break that down in another video, but we're getting kind of past 10 minutes here, so we'll probably say that for another time. But so we're gonna cover like the breath of life and whether air is intelligent. We're gonna cover like how, because I noticed how a breeze will kind of move around the trees and then kind of you can look at one tree and see the breeze, the leaves being manipulated by the wind in one area, but then you can look down the street on the same street and see other trees not being they're perfectly still with no wind at all. So and then you can kind of see the air move to another tree. I've witnessed this myself, so I'll probably document it and do a deeper analysis on that. But I was kind of like looking at how the air was behaving or the breeze on my street, and I was just like, wow, it almost looks like it was just circling around the neighborhood and then just hitting different trees. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. So we're going to talk about how if that has any connection with the breath of life, or if what's going on there is air actual, like, I don't know, it almost looked like it was intelligently moving around the neighborhood. And then, like I said, as far as this visible air that Picard was discussing, like, what do you guys think about that? Was he literally like seeing visible air? But as far as like, well, to wrap this up, basically, there seems to be, I don't know, there seems to be some type of evidence that, yeah, when you go up in the air, there's low pressure and things will expand. Like if you have any type of, like humans cannot be up there, like exposed to that air up there, because they would expand like a balloon and pop, I guess, is what they're kind of saying. So, and there's also information that they're saying it's cold up there. It almost sounds like a security system. Like you can't, it's like people are not allowed to go too high. It looks like it's like there's everything in the way to stop people from spending too much time up there with the radiation and the cold air and the low air pressure. You can't breathe. You need your own oxygen. It's just like it seems almost like a security system, kind of like how the Antarctic boundaries are set up to where, it gets super cold as you explore to the Antarctic edges of the Earth. And it's not really designed for people to be out there too long. So it's almost like the same thing with up top, where it's like there's all types of natural things that will prevent people from being able to really explore too much in those areas. It's like its own security system. So to conclude this video, what I take away from a lot of this is, with the air situation, it just seems like, air is almost like a form of water in a way, but it's like the water is the more dense energy, the more concentrated energy, so it's more visible, and we got the liquid form where you can see it and interact with it, and then air would be kind of like the less concentrated form of air, possibly. But there's some pretty interesting observations I thought Picard made. I mean, I don't know what you guys make of these observations. I don't know. Do you trust Picard in his observations? And like I said, he said he saw. Well, apparently he had mentioned something about seeing a flat disc with upturned edges when he saw the Earth. So I wonder how much credibility we can give this Picard guy. I mean, and his observations. So let me know what you think about Picard and of these final observations I wanted to discuss with you in this video. Make sure you subscribe to my Feature Mind 3 channel. I'm going to be over there releasing a lot of new content over there that's that you're not gonna find anywhere else. Also, leave a link if you'd like to donate to the channel. On my Patreon page, you can donate as little as $1 to help keep things going here at Feature Mind, so I can keep putting out more videos. Also, I'll leave a link to my social media, and so plus much more. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Feed Your Mind, signing off.